History remembers many ruthless leaders, but few rival the calculated brutality of Aethelfrith, the pagan king of Northumbria. He ruled at the dawn of the 7th century, when Britain was a patchwork of warring kingdoms. The Roman order was gone, replaced by chaos and constant conflict. The native Britons, Christian and clinging to the West, faced the rising Anglo-Saxons, pagan warriors hungry for land. Aethelfrith thrived in this world, uniting the rival kingdoms of Bernicia and Deira through force and a shrewd marriage. He became the first true king of Northumbria, ruling a vast territory from northern England into southern Scotland. But his ambition didn't stop at unification. He saw the fractured British kingdoms as prey. His reputation for ferocity spread quickly. Even the venerable Bede called him most valiant and ambitious for glory. Known as Flisor, the Twister, Aethelfrith's reign was defined by relentless expansion and cunning. He pushed back the Britons, cementing Anglo-Saxon dominance. Yet it was his campaign to the west that would define his legacy, a campaign marked by a single, shocking act of violence. In a world where kingdoms rose and fell by the sword, Aethelfrith was both predator and architect of a new order. His story is one of ambition, conquest, and a ruthless strategy that would echo for centuries. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change Britain forever. Aethelfrith's unification of Northumbria was a masterpiece of ruthless politics. He seized Deira, exiling its heir Edwin, and married Acha, Edwin's sister, to legitimize his rule. With Bernicia and Deira united, Northumbria emerged as a formidable power stretching from the Firth of Forth to the Humber. Aethelfrith was a warrior king, always on the offensive, targeting neighboring British kingdoms. His victory at Degsastan crushed the Scots and secured his northern frontier. This allowed him to focus westward, toward the Britons of Wales. By consolidating power, he transformed a landscape of petty chiefdoms into a single, aggressive state. Northumbria became a predator, and Aethelfrith its relentless leader. His ambition drove the kingdom's expansion, setting his sights on the heartlands of the Britons. The next campaign would bring him to the ancient city of Chester, a turning point in his reign. The fate of Britain's west now hung in the balance. The struggle between Aethelfrith and the Britons was more than a battle for land. It was a clash of faiths and cultures. The Anglo-Saxons, fierce pagans, worshipped gods of war and conquest. The Britons, devout Christians, saw themselves as defenders of the faith and heirs to Rome's legacy. Monasteries like Bangor-on-Dee preserved learning and faith amid chaos. For the Britons, the Saxons were not just invaders, but heathens threatening their very way of life. This religious divide turned every battle into a holy war, making compromise impossible. Aethelfrith embodied this conflict. His wars were as much about cultural supremacy as territory. Every victory was a triumph for his gods, every conquest a blow to the Christian Britons. When he marched on Chester, it was more than a military campaign. It was a war for the soul of Britain. The coming confrontation would shatter any illusion of mercy. In 616 AD, Aethelfrith set his sights on Chester, aiming to sever the alliance between the Britons of Wales and the north. Capturing Chester would isolate the Welsh and break their resistance. The Britons, led by King Celts of Powys, gathered to defend the city. This was no mere skirmish. It was a battle for survival. The Britons brought a unique weapon faith. Hundreds of monks from Bangor-on-Dee arrived unarmed to pray for victory. Their presence was a powerful symbol, rallying the Britons and invoking divine favor. The monks' prayers filled the air, a chorus of hope against the pagan invaders. For the Britons, this was a sacred struggle, land, faith, and future at stake. But their display of piety would provoke a response from Aethelfrith that no one expected. The stage was set for a brutal and unforgettable act. The fate of the West would be decided in blood and prayer. Aethelfrith saw the monks praying and recognized their spiritual power as a threat. "If they pray against us, they fight against us," he declared. He ordered his warriors to attack the monks first, bypassing the main British army. The result was a massacre. Over 1,000 monks slaughtered, their prayers silenced by Saxon blades. This was no accident. It was a calculated strike at the Britons' morale. The British warriors watched in horror as their spiritual champions were cut down. The message was clear: your God cannot save you. The Britons, demoralized and shaken, faltered. Aethelfrith then unleashed his army on the main British force. The Battle of Chester became a rout. King Celts was slain, and the Britons crushed. Aethelfrith's psychological warfare had worked. He had shattered his enemies before the real fight began. His victory was total, his reputation for cruelty sealed. The slaughter of the monks would haunt Britain's memory for generations. Aethelfrith had proven that fear could be the deadliest weapon of all. After Chester, Aethelfrith stood at the height of his power. Northumbria was supreme, the Britons divided, but his past caught up with him. Edwin, the exiled prince, found protection with King Radwald of East Anglia. Aethelfrith's attempts to have Edwin killed backfired, provoking Radwald to war. In 616, the same year as his greatest victory, Aethelfrith was defeated and killed at the River Idle. His reign ended, but his legacy endured. He had forged Northumbria into a dominant kingdom, reshaping Britain's political map. His brutal tactics set a precedent for future kings. Power built on war and fear. The slaughter at Chester became a symbol of his ruthless genius. Northumbria would later become a center of culture and Christianity, but its foundation was laid in blood. Aethelfrith's legend remains, a king who wielded faith and fear as weapons and changed the fate of Britain forever. His story is a stark reminder of the price of power in a brutal age.